From Ticker Studios, this is The Founder's Method, presented by Memo Bottle.
How do you evolve as an operator to take a business from zero to a $600 million exit?
I'm John O'Burt.
And I'm Jesse Leeworthy, and this is The Founder's Method. This is a show where we get into the real story behind how founders build, break, and rebuild businesses.
And today's guest started at a market stall selling caps with his wife and built that into a $600 million streetwear empire. Culture Kings turned retail into an experience, built a cult following, and changed the game in Australia and beyond. And now he's on a mission to help other entrepreneurs do the same. Welcoming Simon Beard. Hello, mate. It's so good to have you.
Thanks for having me. Excited to get into it.
Yeah, awesome to have you on. It's like absolutely phenomenal what you've built with Culture Kings and beyond. So the first question is just, if you built Culture Kings today, like in 2026, what would you do differently?
Yes, a lot. One of the biggest lessons I've had along that journey is, and one of our core values I've built in my operating companies now is move fast but learn faster, is that you have to keep learning. And in today's world, it's really reset a lot of the first principles of how retail e-commerce can be done. And this was a big part on me building and scaling Culture Kings, market stall, one store at a time. I was a brick and mortar retailer first before ever really doing online. I was still doing more than $10 million a year in physical retail before our online got any traction. Eventually building up to $200 million a year online business and $100 million brick and mortar retail, $300 million turnover, $50 million EBITDA, 12 times multiple exit. But right now, and these other entrepreneurs that I'm helping, the younger ones, I always see these versions of the 18-year-old version of myself, is that they are doing it so much faster. So like we had a kid in One Life, 19 years old, he hit $1 million in sales in his third month. And it was like, do you know how long it took me to get to $1 million?
Yes, 100%.
It's not fair, and one of the biggest ways, and learning from them, is that because they're coming with fresh eyes, which I know that was a benefit for me coming in, especially the fashion game, because I didn't look the other way they did it. They buy it through distributors and this sort of broken model. I was like, why don't I just get it straight from America direct? So what they're looking, and the big thing that I see that they're doing is that they're looking at the model of not why do I need to hire someone. They're always looking, what's the problem to get solved? And their last thing is to hire someone full time. Like, why would someone need to spend 40 hours a week doing, like, it's 100%. Interesting as they get that question out of them. And it's so many of us are like, yeah, it doesn't, you just pay for the result. How can we break down into an actionable, hard outcome and just pay for that result? And you don't care how long it takes. And this is where a lot of these entrepreneurs can get to 10 million now with basically just contractors and themselves. Yeah. I believe a lot of entrepreneurs, you need to understand these fundamentals, because there's this really big quote going on in AI, but it makes sense across in business. You can now outsource your thinking, which is unbelievable, 100%. But you can't outsource your understanding. You've got to understand how the fundamentals click together, how the value chain, which parts of it creates value, how you can do that better quality, how can you measure the quality, how can you do it faster. And that's where, from right now, is I would rebuild it from first principles. I would build it around short form content, volume at scale, creating really good source content that you can clip into tons of different angles and variations, because the meta algorithm just needs all this signal now, all this fuel of all these different volume of content. And
completely different mentality now, isn't it? Absolutely.
And mate, you're sitting heaps of companies now doing company audits as part of Beard Capital. What are you finding that most companies are struggling with?
I suppose just not adapting for a lot. A lot are still I suppose, got great. They sort of rode this amazing tailwind of COVID, of e-com, and it was just, you could basically put anything, it would print in ads. But a lot of sort of got there and had some turbulent times. But now what you're just seeing is the cost of marketing is just creeping and creeping up. And they've still got this operating expenses and they're starting to creep up. And then that margin's just getting squeezed. And this is where, as well, I sort of see as how they just have to pivot a bit quicker. I suppose a big part what I've got now is I've got Creator Army, which I basically learnt off this guy Hudson in America, who's an absolute Jedi. He's only in his 20s. He just did 100 million US last month selling a hoodie. You know, he's going to do he's going to do over $1 billion this year. But it's this volume of content that people can't wrap their head around. It took me a long time to get it, but he got into his ad account each day last month, 15,000 pieces of content a day.
Wow.
So that's wild.
It is this such level of scale that, and that's, I suppose a big change is that a lot aren't seeing is the early days of e-commerce was this big land grab. Who could have the biggest catalog?
Yeah.
That was the game, because you just needed to get them on your site and they'll find something to buy. Where now it's actually what I sort of see it moving to is who can have that smallest catalog, narrow and deep. You have to win at something, but have the volume of content to win. And this is why I'm doing those audits, because where I see this big opportunity is what I've seen with brands to go international from day dot.
Yeah.
So part of this, you know, China fulfillment, shipping around the world, doing cost caps, you know, if you're doing ads, so cost per acquisition, and you can work out, you don't care where the customer comes from, as long as you can make that sale and get positive contribution margin, you just let it rip. And this is where I sort of see is that if you've got the volume of content, if it works in Australia, it pretty much will work other places. And what I've seen is that so many Australian brands where they've grown so much more overseas, it's like, I really believe Australia's this hardest environment, but if you can make it here, it's like the real New York, you can make it anywhere.
Totally true. Totally true. And it's so much easier just to go international these days. But when you're doing these audits, if you see a brand, say that's around the $5 million mark that's stalled, like, is it usually a strategy problem, operator problem, or something else?
My more thing, usually what I'm seeing a lot is the creeping up of ad spend, and that it's just not coming to the volume of content that is really diverse, and they really don't have a content production pipeline that's fueling it with newer, better, improved, increasing volume angles. That's a big thing that I sort of see.
Yeah. So you mentioned before Creator Army. I know you're spending a lot of time on that, and you talk a lot about man with machine and the amplification that we're having now, as opposed to it being more of a replacement of roles. Where are you seeing all that going over the next 12 months? What's your goal with that?
So what I sort of see is, I believe in decentralized creative teams. I believe if you have them in-house, they can get bored of the same product. They can be like, there's only so many different ways to do it. But when you can outsource it to people, and this is what we do. So we train creators in how to use our sort of system and formula, because that's the thing, we're still using people to do it, but they've got all the tools that they can create all these different pieces of content, unique angles, but feed in the learning, and they get better and better and improving on that. And it's basically that we can apply, so we have a demand machine, and then if we own a business, we have equity in it, we can really help gas it and just create demand, because we've got this army of creators we can throw at it and throw volume of content, but we actually manage all the ad spend as well. I suppose that's the key part, because it's so much simpler these days, and this way we need all that signal to fuel back so we can we built the content production pipeline basically for the ones that don't have it.
So where do you think a founder should be putting their time over the next 12 months? Like, I mean, there's a lot of shiny things out there at the moment. You know, getting that content wheel flying and all these other things. Like, what should they be focusing on?
It is a hard part, and even for myself, of just how AI can be such this dopamine trap. Of you can just have so much fun building all these dashboards and you just go dig more and more down the rabbit hole, but it's sort of not really making progress. You have to be able to step out and look at what is the real bottleneck in your value chain, and then how do you solve that problem? And usually when you solve that, it creates the next problem. And my biggest thing is just to really analyze what is that bottleneck at that different stage of growth, and focus all that effort into solving it, and just being careful not to get too distracted in that the amount of people building great businesses, and then they're pitching me about, oh, I've built this software on the side, do you want to be this and part? I'm like, just focus on your business. He made 250 grand last month. And I'm like, you have this opportunity. You've just done nothing 5 months ago, and he's already doing 250 about this software. I'm like, you built it in 2 weeks. Anyone else can build that in 2 weeks. Yes, a year ago, this would have been the most crazy breakthrough ever, but it's just, that's sort of gone now. And it's so hard to know what's going to have any moat. Like we're just seeing with this Fable now, people are one-shotting billion-dollar apps with one prompt. It's going to be, so it is very hard to predict out, and especially agentic shopping and everything. But I suppose that's where I'm trying to really focus onto the short-term part in this crazy time of like, how do I drive it to get cash flow now?
We're obviously still so hungry, which is cool to see. And I want to thank you personally for all the content that you are pushing out across the socials now. Everyone is learning from it. There's so much value. So thank you, and thank you for today. It's been an honour to have you on and chat, and all the best for what's to come.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for having me.
You're watching Ticker. The Founders Method is presented by Memo Bottle. For more, visit memobottle.com.